Raupatu claims Waikato River Settlement Bill be read a second time. Kei te rere iho a roimata ki te awa o Wanganui. Kei te rere iho a Waikamo ki te awa o Waikato. Iri te rau kawakawa, iri te ki whare aitua, moe mai rā e kui e moe mai rā. It is appropriate to acknowledge the passing of Lady Raiha Mahuta, a woman who was such a significant force in the passage of the Waikato River claims. Lady Raiha, the co-negotiator of the claims with Tukuroirangi Morgan, can rest in peace knowing the significance of the model that they have created will be an enduring legacy. The imprint of this legacy is woven throughout the legislation, promoting and emphasising the fundamental goal of restoring the health of the Waikato River. As one river tribe to another, I want to acknowledge the unique and distinctive role that our awa play in every aspect of our lives. As river people, we share a special bond with our awa tupua, recognising it is our collective responsibility to protect the mana of the river. The legislation we debate today reminds us that the health and wellbeing of the Waikato River is vital for the economic, environmental, tourist and recreational goals of the Waikato region and indeed of Aotearoa. But there are other profound associations for Waikato-Tainui to the awa that are protected within this bill. The reflections of the queer Itirangi Hinemutu Rawiri explain some of these precious connections between the people and their river. The Waikato River is our tūpuna and looks over us throughout our lives. The river feeds us, nurtures us and takes care of us, healing our hurts and protecting us from harm. The river is our lifeline from which we take our name, our identity and our mana. And in this sense, the Waikato River was always more than simply a water highway, a place to swim, fish or play in, a site for wakaama, a food basket and a source of kai. The people go to the awa to pray, to be healed, to be cleansed. The relationship between the people of Waikato-Tainui and the river is one in which the mana, the prestige, the mauri, the life force of the two are indivisible. Waikato-Tainui describe this relationship in the two key principles of their claim, te mana o te awa and mana whakahaere. I set out this broader worldview of the Waikato River as a direct challenge to other views which may place our waterways in a singular context of an economic utility. Such a focus has seen the health of the river progressively decline to the distress of the people of Waikato-Tainui. Tangata whenua take up a collective responsibility for the preservation and protection of the taonga, the resources within their tribal boundaries. This is a responsibility they hold seriously to be tangata tiaki, fully involved in the care and protection of the awa, the river environment and the people. This bill emphasises the importance of the role of tangata tiaki. The people of Waikato-Tainui promote the concept of a korowai, a protective cloak laid over te awa tūpuna to respect and care for its ongoing health and well-being. In itself, the legislation formalises recognition of te mana o te awa, introducing a new regime for the co-governance and co-management of the Waikato and Waipa rivers, which fully involves the iwi. This in turn enacts the tribal commitment to mana wakahaere, the exercise of control, access to and management of the river and the resources to maintain the life force of the river. For Waikato-Tainui, mana wakahaere has long been exercised under the mana of the kingitanga, and so today we acknowledge Kingi Tu Heitia and Te Whare o Te Kāhui Ariki. I want to particularly commend Waikato-Tainui for their forbearing and their initiative in being willing to reopen negotiations. Uppermost in the mind of the co-negotiators was how best to restore the health and well-being of the river. For that reason, when the new government initiated an independent review of the deed of the co-management arrangements and the original deed of settlement signed in August 2008, they did so willingly in their commitment to improving outcomes. The 2008 legislation was deemed to be too cumbersome to be operational, and so again I do commend all the parties the initiative to go back to the drawing board and to find a solution that will work. Based on that review, Waikato-Tainui renegotiated the code governance aspects of the settlement, which led to the signing of a new deed of settlement in December 2009. The features of the new arrangements which have been incorporated into the bill are as follows. Governance functions relating to the river are consolidated in a single co-governance entity to be known as the Waikato River Authority. This is a considerable improvement on the previous arrangements, which would have led to the establishment of 5 new entities. The vision and strategy will be the primary direction-setting document for the Waikato River and will be administered by the Waikato River Authority. The vision and strategy will be described as Te Ture Waimana and will be incorporated directly into the Waikato Regional Policy Statement. The bill establishes the Waikato River Clean-up Trust. This is a major investment and a significant environmental initiative. The Trust Contestable Fund will be administered by the River Authority rather than having a separate trustee. Iwi-appointed commissioners will participate on hearing committees and boards of inquiry in respect of applications for resource consent to take, use, dam or divert water into the Waikato River for point source discharge to the Waikato River and for activities listed in Section 13 of the Resource Management Act if they do relate to the Waikato River. Instead of establishing a separate statutory board, the bill now provides for joint management agreements to be established between Waikato-Tainui, the Waikato Regional Council, and between relevant territorial authorities for functions under the Resource Management Act that relate to the Waikato River. Certain customary activities of Waikato-Tainui are also recognised, and these include the use of wakataua, wakakōpapa and wakatete at tribal events such as the annual Ngārua Wāhia Regatta. This is an important new feature and removes any anomaly that meant members of Waikato-Tainui needed to seek permission to practice fundamental features of their culture and long-held traditions. Finally, provision is made to vest certain river-related sites of significance in Waikato-Tainui for Waikato-Tainui to gift lands to the Waikato Regional Council for flood protection purposes and for Waikato-Tainui to participate in the co-management of Crown-owned river-related lands. The concepts behind the arrangements give effect in this bill are not new, but what this bill does for the first time in a treaty settlement is to focus on giving tangible effect to these concepts. I'd like to thank the Māori Affairs Committee for their work on the bill to ensure it gives effect to the new deed of settlement and for providing submitters with an opportunity to comment on the new provisions. There is no doubt that what has been achieved with this legislation will establish a precedent for other iwi. The co-management arrangements in this bill signify important development in resource management and decision-making. The tribal agreements with a range of ministries and the shared representation at the governance levels usher in a new era in treaty relationships. Iwi and local authorities will now sit side by side at the top table, working together to care and protect Te Mana o Te Awa. It is with much pleasure that I commend this bill to the House.
The question is that the motion be agreed.